Go.
Welcome back to the Lunch Table Podcast. I'm Liam Jochims, and this is my co-host Keegan Williams.
I am indeed here. Anyway, so today we're doing our English Essential for Unsolved Cold Case Mystery, what have you. And today we are coming at you not live from Mr. Kroll's room. So shall I begin?
I think you shall.
All right. So my case is the Elisa Lamb death at the Cecil Hotel. And this is a really notorious case, actually. A lot of quote-unquote internet sleuths have been trying to solve this for a long time.
Oh, yeah, internet sleuths, you said.
But, well, she was a 21-year-old from Canada. She was in LA for, I forget what reason, but
Doing LA things, as you do.
She checked into the Cecil Hotel, and a few days later, she was reported missing. Roughly 19 days later, she was found on the roof in a water tank.
The water tank?
Because, well, the maintenance crew found her because there were complaints about a lack of water pressure. So they went up, they opened the tank, and they saw her dead in the water.
That's a nasty way to get found.
Yeah. The main, thing about it is, nobody really knows how she got there. And, I mean, obviously she got there from the hotel, but it doesn't really make sense. My conclusion for this story is basically that, I think it was supernatural. I think it was some form of paranormal activity. There have been... Well, the history of the hotel itself, I should really start with, is it's on the border, or very close to the border of Skid Row, which is, as you know, a very large area of homeless people with an extremely high crime rate.
I didn't know that.
So, naturally, the Cecil Hotel became a hot spot for, criminal undergrounds and gambling rings, all sorts of stuff. So multiple serial killers have taken residence in the hotel. And so that, yeah. So lots of deaths have occurred in the hotel, and over a while, there have become reports of paranormal activity. Several paranormal investigators, including Ghost Adventures, have visited the hotel, and it's a really creepy place. So I think that ties into what happened to Elisa Lamb, because there's really no explanation. How does some random person get onto the roof of a hotel, and how does she get the lid back on? When she was found, the lid of the water tank was still on. They had to cut a hole in the tank itself to get her body out. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, you did say a lot of serial killers live here, so you know.
Yeah.
I bet some of them were psychotic enough to do it. Probably would have been one of them.
It could have been, but, there's not really a huge thing. And a lot of people think that she just committed suicide, but it doesn't really make sense, because when you get into a water tank, how do you lift the lid from outside and put it back on top while you're still inside?
Maybe she had someone help her.
But she was there by herself, and it doesn't, I don't know, I just don't get it. The last seen anything of her is elevator footage, and she steps into an elevator, pushes her button, stands normal, and then she pokes her head out and starts acting super erratically. She steps out of the elevator for 10-20 seconds, and the elevator doors don't close. the elevator doors are open. She's standing out in the hallway looking around at something that probably isn't even there. And that's the last anyone ever saw. Like, that's just crazy to me. So I think it's supernatural. I think there's some kind of paranormal whatnot going down with it. Like, it doesn't add up to me. But
Maybe
for a little
on a more betterly researched thing. No offense.
I
Theory.
I have some research. I have some research.
What is some of this research then, Mr. Sir?
From EBSCO, I downloaded this article and it was an interview. There's a lot of stuff here that really talks about her like mental health things or like conspiracies, like her being murdered by some kind of stalker or like a whole bunch of stuff like that. It mainly talks about internet sleuths that can't really find anything besides like conspiracy and things that don't really add up. So it really just adds to the effect of that it's a really pressing, unsolved thing. On the BBC, that's where I found the hotel elevator footage.
Love the BBC.
Yep, we
They
love
made our
we
intro
love the
music.
BBC. This is like the BBC is another place that really talks about the quote unquote ghost stories or what have you.
Well, if it's a ghost thing, how reputable is it? Because those don't tend to be very reputable.
Well, naturally it's not, but judging by the amount of paranormal activity there and other like reports and all the paranormal investigations and stuff, yeah. But the hotel manager at the time was there during the reports of like several deaths in the hotel. Uh, I think they said there was reported like 16, but there could have theoretically been upwards of 80 deaths there. So it doesn't really clarify anything, but it tells you just how mysterious the whole hotel was. So yeah, Amy Price was the manager and she said that like she's spoken about like this case a lot of times, but it hasn't like made any difference. But
So is that it?
yeah,
Your theory?
that's all I got.
Well, my theory is about the Lost Colony of Roanoke, which is basically in 1857, not 1857, 1587, Sir Walter Raleigh, a group of colonists, the third attempt to settle in America, after the first two kind of destroyed or left because of the natives, settled on Roanoke Island. And, they're doing good there, Sir Walter, he had they had a successful thing going. And he had his daughter and his granddaughter. And they were starting to get low on supplies. And so, he said, I'll go back to England. I will get supplies. I will come back. I will return in a matter of a couple of months. Anyway, 3 years later, he finally decides to come back, only to find the entire population missing and all of the houses disassembled. Nothing there but the word Croatoan etched into a tree.
Did you have any idea what Croatoan means?
No one does.
So is it like, do you have any theory? Like, could it be some Native American language or?
I don't think it is. Not many Native Americans had a written language, and the ones that did looked nothing like ours. Like, it was written in English.
That's really
Or,
strange.
like, not English, but like a, Our lettering system.
Yeah, yeah. The English alphabet.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
European alphabet, you know.
Yeah, certainly.
So, you know, he assumed they were all dead. And he kind of abandoned the colony and went back home. So no one really knows what happened for sure, you know, in those 3 years. My theory is that the population went to go live with the natives. Now, there's actually a bit of decent evidence for this, and some new evidence that's come out recently. Well, for starters, supposedly, not entirely sure if this is true because I couldn't find anywhere. There's just some people saying it is, some people saying it isn't. There were stones found, carved by Sir Walter's daughter, that depicted what happened to them, found on the nearby Hatteras Island. And for actual evidence that has been proved, archaeologists have found bits of metal, you know, like small little bits of metal, on both Croatoan and also Hatteras Island, that it was made using metallurgy only from Europe during, like, that century. Like, the natives did not do that. And because, you know, there weren't any colonists from that century on Hatteras Island, you know, that means that the colonists must have gone there.
Yeah, that's really confusing.
As for the word Croatoan, you know, no one knows what it means. There's theories that it was written by the settlers, because, you know, it was written in our alphabet.
Yeah. Is there anything, like you said, there were stones found, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Was there, like, could you find any description of what the stones actually depicted? Or was it just they found stones, this, that, the other thing?
They're called the Dare Stones, which were discovered in the late 1930s, which, you know, were supposedly containing that. Well, they initially sparked a lot of confidence. They are believed to be a hoax because, you know, they were just stones found there.
Yeah.
However, the River Stone, which was found in 1937, was kind of the first of the series, which is a message that is a bit different from the rest. Which is, you know, it claims that, you know, his daughter, and others, you know, John White, others, you know, containing a message from Old English, which says that that's where they went.
Well, that makes sense and it adds up. But what's to say they weren't taken by the Native Americans and either killed or, like, put to work or anything else? What, instead of assimilating?
Well, because they had that metallurgy. Like, the metal was being forged.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, could it not have been metal that was forged before he had left or before they had disappeared?
I mean, there's like that bits, but, like, there's also, like, the bits of, like, you know, micrometals found there that were forged after.
Yeah.
In, like, 1890.
Oh, so I suppose that makes sense then, yeah.
Not 1890, 1590.
Yeah.
Of course, no one really knows, but, you know, this is the best theory. There are other theories, like, you know, the natives killed them all. You know, they moved further inland, which, you know, there really isn't too much evidence for. I mean, it's a better theory than the natives killing them. There is one theory propagated by the French, I believe, that the Spanish had attacked and killed them, but that was just a ruse to keep the English busy.
I suppose.
They were looking for it.
Yeah.
And there is one final theory that they tried to sail back to Europe and drowned in a storm. But there were never any shipwrecks found or bodies, so...
Yeah, I feel like that doesn't really make any sense. So, yeah, I would say that's a pretty good evaluation of the situation there.
Best part about mine, compared to the rest of these cases, some of this metal stuff was found very recently.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to, you know, all these other cases which are kind of dead. And the funny thing is, mine's the oldest one.
Huh.
Other than Jack the Ripper and the other ones too.
That's strange. Up. I didn't do it.
Technical difficulties. Anything else to add?
No, not really. I mean, yeah, other than the fact that, as far as my theory, I remember hearing that, like, Elisa Lam had bipolar disorder, And when she was found, there were no traces of any medication in her system. But as far as that goes to show, like, as much as a problem as she could have had, I really don't think that that would have caused any sort of, like, hallucination almost, like the elevator footage, or once again, like, how does someone get onto the roof without, like, contacting anyone for anything? It just, like, I see no way that anyone could have, on a normal basis, gotten up to the roof of a massive hotel. Like, the Cecil had 15 stories and, like, well over 1,000 rooms. It was a really big place. And it's not like some random person can just get up to the roof or lift off a lid that, under most scenarios, would probably be secured in some way. Like, I feel like that's not something any normal situation really allows for.
Maybe, but also murders aren't normal situations.
I mean, yeah, but are you really, like, who would ever kill someone like that? Or do, I mean, I guess I see where you're coming from.
People have done worse things in weirder ways.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Like, she did have a blog, so I understand how there could have been, like, some form of stalkery going down. Like, she did have a Tumblr blog for a while before. She started it in 2010, 3 years before she disappeared. And that was, like, the main form of social presence that she had, which wasn't really that large at all. So it's not like she had a huge amount of people, like, going after her for anything. So it just doesn't, like I said, I don't think it adds up any real way. Like,
Maybe, maybe not. As a little bit of a rebuttal to that, just because we don't know what happens doesn't have to make it paranormal. Like, people assumed, back during like the witch trial burnings, just because a woman could, do math or, know how to do something. They assumed it had to have been satanic and paranormal in nature, and they killed them.
I mean, yeah, but that was before there was any logical, like, scientific explanation or allowance for women of intelligence, like you say. It's like there's a lot of things you could do to explain a lot of different situations, but I feel like there's a lot there that either there isn't enough evidence for, or just doesn't seem humanly possible, even with, like, the modern perspective that you have today.
Well, I mean, their perspective back then would have been modern to them.
I
And so
mean,
from their perspective, they didn't have that much information. In the future now, we know that. I believe in the future, someone will figure out what happened.
I think so
I'm
too.
willing to bet it's probably not paranormal.
Well, you are entitled to your own opinion.
As are you.
I suppose that brings us to our conclusion.
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you for listening to episode 2 of the Lunch Table Podcast. I hope you enjoyed. I hope our sound quality was good enough, and I hope you enjoyed our theories and Mr. Kroll's awesome trophy collection.
Yeah. Well, we'll catch you with a different project next year, or if we have the motivation to upload.
See you in summer school.
Yeah.
Goodbye.